What's going on, YouTube? Wanted to do a video and an update on my Longshot that I am printing out some parts for. So this is my sodizzle Longshot that I created. It has a CPVC breech in it. I believe it is using a K18 spring, could be a K26. I don't think it's using a K26, I'm not sure. I've got a D-pack clip. I've got a couple D-pack clips that I got sent to me from Psych. Thank you so much. And this is using a prototype pump grip that I made a long time ago out of cutting board. This was at a time when everyone was trying to figure out how to create a really good pump grip for their long shots, either integrating the front grip that we all know. I know people have used PVC, CPVC, wood, and all these other materials and other guns and other stuff integrated up here into the front. This was my last attempt at a prototype, but it's bulky and I wanted to be able to trim it down, to mold it, to get stuff better, and I obviously just never got around to it. The funniest part is that apparently I put it away kind of half built. It's being held together by 3 screws in the shell completely. When I was clearing out my workbench, I found a whole bunch of screws used for Nerf shells, and I was like, I don't need these anymore, and totally tossed them. So I need to find some screws so I can keep this shell because it's very wobbly, and yeah. So this is what I currently have, and I had thought of always about making my own pump grip, so I thought about designing my own and decided to go online and see if I could find something else, because someone else has always built something usually before I get a chance to do it myself. And I know that there have been some pump grips out there on Thingiverse. I've seen them, I looked at them, did measurements, and they were always very big and bulky. I didn't really like them very much in terms of what they look like. Some were integrated to be integrated with other things on the Longshot, and I just wanted a simple pump grip that worked with the base Longshot. And I actually did find one that someone had created just recently. I started printing it out. Here is the first attempt at printing it out. As you can see, this is actually not the full print. While this was printing, we had a power outage due to a small tornado landing nearby and just totally shut power off in the area. So this is as far as it got, but it was enough for me to be able to check out the fit of this on the Longshot and just see the measurements and see how much of it would work. And I have to say, this is a really good print. This is a really good design, and the person that designed it did a great job. It's very ergonomical. It has a very good fit. The tolerances on it are really good. The only thing, and this could be based off of my printer, is that on the front of it, when I prime and it tries to get past these parts here, it kind of rubs up against the outside, so it's a very tight fit to those. But that could be easily done by me shaving down the plastic on the shell here, which is not a problem for me. So, and again, it could just be my printer and that the tolerances are a little bit off. But the one complaint I did have is that the rails, the slots for the rails, are on the outside of the pump grip, whereas on mine, and what that meant was that the rails where I currently have them, which sit flush up against the shell, now need to be moved out maybe 5 to 10 millimeters further out from the shell. And if you had a paint job or you had something where you wanted to protect the shell, I could see that being an option. But on mine, I wanted them as close to the shell as possible. And so I asked, I sent a message to the person. I was like, hey, would you want to remix this and move those slots on the inside? He said, yeah, they're coming. So I waited and I got impatient. So I tried to remix it myself, and I think I did an okay job, which I will probably repost out on Thingiverse, but this is the actual pump grip completed. The slots for the rails are now on the inside, and it really is a nice fit. It'll, works like this, so it works really well. It's really nice with the hand. The grip itself is much smaller, and like I said, it has some really good tolerances and works well with your stock Longshot. In terms of rigidity and the print, on this print I printed this with 4 walls and 5% infill. So the print was, I think, 13-14 hours. I did do a finer layer height on my print so that it's much more smooth. Not a lot of defects on the print itself. I did have to sand down areas on this pump grip that are next to the shell just as they're rubbing against it, just to make sure that there's nothing to interfere with priming the blaster. On this print that I had started initially, I had done 6 walls with 5% infill, and this thing is very rigid, and I figured I could probably move it down to 4 walls with less infill, and you can hear there's a little bit of cracking, but again, this is not a completed print, and this print that I do have is very solid. It's not going to flex, and it works well. So I have tested this on my Longshot, but wanted to put this on just so you guys knew where I was starting from. I do have to make some modifications to this rail. It's a little bit too long for the new grip. I hope it'll fit well where the holes are to attach the pump grip to the rail. I haven't actually done that yet because I have to cut these down a little bit, but I will get that done and I'll show you guys the finished product. All right. Hey guys, welcome back. So the whole process of getting the new grip onto the Longshot took a little bit of a change. So these are the original rails for my cutting board grip. These are 1/2 inch, 1/8 thick rails, aluminum flat bar rails. In the guide for the new grip, it called for 3/4 inch wide bars, 1/8 inch thick. So I went out and got that material because I couldn't actually find 1/2 inch. So I got the 3/4 inch, and I was pretty sure that the tolerances on the space for the bar or the space for the rail would be too tight, and I was right. I had to sand down the thickness from 1/8 to a little bit less so that it would accommodate the space, as well as the width of 3/4 inch. I had to sand both of those sides down. I know my printer does tend to, when it has gaps, it tends to make those a little bit smaller. So my tolerances are off, and that's fine. And it's probably more that on the file itself that I created, I probably should have enlarged that space so that it can have a little bit of wiggle room for printers if your printer is not going to be exact, and that would make things a lot easier. So after some cutting, after some drilling and getting more drill bits, because I bent 2 of my drill bits, I finally have this. So as you can see, the grip is also in black. I do have other colors of filament. This was just in the printer at the time, and I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna print it because it's there. The thing works really great. This is, again, 3/4 in width, 1/8 in thickness. The only other thing on this is that these screws here actually protrude out the side. These are longer than what is called for because I couldn't actually find the correct length at the store. So these will get replaced when I do find those, but the thing primes great. And I do need to find the end stock for this. And I did find an old Vortex Praxis, I think, and grabbed some of the screws to plug into this thing. So overall, it's been a pretty awesome build. I'm glad I have this done. I have, I think, 3 or 4 other Longshots that I want to also add this to. So I'll be printing this out in other colors that I have available. I'll probably be doing that to some of the other Longshots that I have that I'll also be given to my kids so that they can be firing and hurting each other appropriately, as any Nerf should do. Anyway, I might have a quick firing test on this. I'm not sure. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I will link to this print and the remix that I did in the description below. If you guys like my content, please subscribe, comment below, let me know if you guys have questions. See you guys.